So welcome to the webinar. I see a lot of familiar faces on the call and also some new ones, so welcome. Today we're going to go through our webinar. It's about 45 minutes. It's essentially an all-in-one package thing that we wanted to do to share all of our findings from working at over 7 warehouses in the Yakima area doing the Spectre Top Down sizing app. So who is on this call right now? We have myself, Elizabeth Hargrave. I'm the solutions engineer for Hectre Orchard Management Software. And we have Omar on the call, who's going to be leading the meat of this conversation about how things have gone this harvest. He is our regional account executive. And we are both based out of the Yakima office here in Central Washington. So without further ado, I will kick it off to Omar and let him take it from here.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you guys being here, especially during harvest. I know it's hard to get away, especially for an hour when things get a little crazy. So just want to give you a quick overview on what we'll be covering today. So just a little bit about us, Hectre, and who we are and how we came to be in the market, kind of the problems that we're trying to solve for growers and packing houses out in Yakima and in the rest of the world, the solutions we're offering, and then some customer stories from people actually using the system, their experience, and then at the end it'll be a quick Q&A, just any questions, concerns, or if we didn't dive into something that you're particularly interested in, feel free at that time to raise those questions. Elizabeth mentioned on the chat, you're welcome to type in any questions as we're going, and then we'll try to cover those there during that Q&A as well. So a little bit about who we are here at Hectre. We started as a labor management solution. And we started with a suggestion from growers and pack houses as far as what they wanted to see out of a software of this type a little bit over 5 years ago. It started with labor tracking, geotagging, printing bins out in the field, QC, tracking picker performance out in the field as well, scouting. So that was at the core of who we were when we started. And then from there, it grew into Spectre, which is what you guys are here to see today, and the evolution of that and how it's progressed over the last 2 years. We have a team of over 50 individuals here at Hectre, really dedicated to optimizing and creating new technologies for growers and packing houses. Really everything we do and have done and we will do in the future has come from suggestions from growers and packing houses, from issues they've noticed or solutions they really want to see come to market. So really our main goal here is focus on innovation, and that's something we really pride ourselves in, and we'll keeping top of mind as we move forward when we develop new and different technologies in the future. So a little bit about the journey here at Hectre. In 2019, we started the research and development for Spectre, which is our mobile sizing and color estimation platform. At its early stages, it was size only, and it was handheld, meaning here we're here to see our top-down version. But when it started, it was only a mobile app. So you could download it on your phone or an iPad. You can take a picture of the fruit once it was in a bin, and you'd get size estimation in 30 to 40 seconds, color in about 45 seconds as we progressed. In 2020, with the help of a few key customers in Washington, we started developing and optimizing the color solution. By 2021, it was released, and we've scanned a little bit over 20 million pieces of fruit. 2022 is when we launched what everyone's here to see, which is Top Down, the automated version, which is a fixed camera, which I'll get into here a little bit shortly. So that's been a little bit on the progression as far as Spectre goes. And, we started R&D in 2020, 2019, and slowly moved on to that. Like I mentioned, it really came to be with the help of some of our key customers here in Washington specifically. So some of the problems our customers were mentioning that we had worked with, especially with the mobile handheld Spectre, was not a big enough sample size on the QC side as far as sizing apples. Historically, they said anywhere from 25 to 100 pieces of apples were sampled, and they were hoping to gather a larger sample size in less time. Some production issues as far as different lots coming in at different sizes, and that really slowing down their lines, having to reset lines in the middle of harvest was proven to be a huge issue as far as cost and time being wasted. CA room storage, being able to have a larger sample size would let them know exactly what they had in certain rooms, especially rooms or fruit that was going into long-term storage. The variance in size between lots happened to be a huge issue with a lot of our customers, and something they were really hoping to address and get a better idea as that fruit comes in, especially during harvest. It's coming in quick. So that was some of the issues we're really trying to solve. And last but not least, sales desk really wanted more information early on what type of fruit was coming in to help them make and fulfill orders more efficiently. So kind of the solution that we came up with. So as I mentioned earlier, Hectre is really focused on innovation. So Top Down is one of our latest products, taking post-harvest data to the next level. This project was a perfect example of Hectre really trying to really treating our customers as partners. The Sage group came to us and asked if we can further automate that handheld version we have created, being able to snap a picture with their phone or iPad. We really took their suggestions, their feedback to heart, and we started that development in 2020. By 2022, we had a full scalable product. We're live, like Elizabeth said, in 7 locations, and it's really taken off this year. A lot of our customers really like the ease of use, really no training needed for their employees as far as, how to use the system. It's pretty simple, and we'll get into that here shortly, as you can see. So what this means for some of our customers here, it's providing real-time data for their sales desks, and this gets sent to them in seconds, right? So we have an API set up. We can feed this data to them automatically. They can see it on the device themselves in 30 to 45 seconds, depending on how many bins they're processing. Production planning and storage data, so confidently knowing what they have in storage, and they plan their packing schedules accordingly. No surprises when they open a room regarding size and color. Less downtime on the line as Spectre accurately estimates the size and color of fruit, allowing you to set those lines accordingly. So this project was just a really great example of our R&D team delivering on new technology and what we really hope to accomplish here in the future moving forward. So a little bit on how it works. It's a really simple product, like I mentioned. We set up a fixed camera at your receiving end. We hook it up to a PC. It records trucks as they're driving through, and it captures the top layer of the bins on those trucks. So depending on how big that truckload is, anywhere from 18, up to 40 bins per truckload, we're seeing the system be able to capture. So just a huge sample size, automating the process as much as possible, especially with harvest. Every second really does count. I just wanted to give you an idea here of exactly how the system works and the way it's used right now currently out in the field. So as you saw in the video, so as you just noticed on the video there, just like I mentioned, the truck drives under, the camera's fixed, it's capturing those bins as it's going through. So like I mentioned, you'll be able to capture anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 pieces of fruit per truckload as it's driving through. We can feed this data directly into an existing QC system with an API, or some of our customers choose to have the automated reports sent to themselves, and they create their own dashboards for their production team and for their sales desk to use. And that's really as simple as it is to use, and how some of our customers are currently using the system and the data that it provides to them. So a little bit about who's using the system this year. Like Elizabeth mentioned earlier, we have about 7 sites live with Top Down. The Monson Fruit Company, Sage, the Valley Cough Legacy, CPC, Olympic Fruit, and First Fruits are all utilizing the technology this season. They're really enjoying the ease of use, what it's allowing them to use, how it's allowing them to gather so much data, especially for production purposes. And the sales desk really do love this information it's being able to feed to them. So I really thought before we get into the Q&A, it'd be helpful for you to hear from one of our current customers using the system and their experience working with Hectre and the kind of information they're able to get and how it's helped them this harvest. So Monson Fruit, it's been one of our new additions this harvest, and I'd really like for you to listen to Jarrett there with them and our marketing director, Kylie, do a quick Q&A. So I am going to show that for you here, and I'll get back to you after.
Hailing from the fertile Yakima Valley in Washington State, Monson Fruit were established more than 25 years ago and can trace their roots back as far as 1951. The team at Monson Fruit specialise in apples, cherries and pears, with apples making up about 50% of their business. With approximately 7,000 acres of apple crop under their management, the Monson Fruit team process approximately 180,000 bins of apples each year. Their scale and focus on quality has seen Monson Fruit gain a reputation as one of Washington State's top 5 premier packers. When it comes to innovation, the team at Monson Fruit are continually reviewing the technology landscape and seeking out solutions that can add value to their business and their goal of delivering the freshest, tastiest fruit to the world. Earlier this week, I caught up with Monson's master operator, Jarrett Hayes, to talk through the challenges that they were looking to address regarding the lack of early size data and how Spectre Top Down is transforming the early size sampling process. Hi Jarrett, great to have you with us today. Hey, before we dig in and talk through your Spectre Top Down experience, let's unravel the challenges faced through a lack of early size data. For starters, let's look at size when it comes to apples. Why is it so important?
Size is a huge part of production. It allows us to schedule. Production flow is a big part of our business model. We have to keep the production line going. So understanding the size of every lot coming in can help us plan. It can help us yield higher FOBs in the future. We can put lots that are maybe better size or are going to hold up a little better color. We can extend those, put them out in a long-term CA room and yield a better pack per bend and get money back to the grower that way.
So you mentioned growers. What sort of difference does it make when fruit is either too big or too small when it goes to sale? What difference does that make for a grower?
It can make a significant difference. Just extending, maybe they have a small fruit. So maybe in 3 or 4 months from now, maybe that small fruit is going to be worth a lot more money compared to now. Maybe we can figure out that we can put that fruit in a long-term CA room and be able to export that fruit, and it just yields higher packs per bend, higher returns to the grower.
When you think about all of the blood, sweat and tears and the money that they pour into the operations just to get to harvest and all of those weather challenges, you know, getting that optimal return for them at sale time is really, really critical, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's tons of work. So if we can get it right here, that'll make the world of a difference.
So size has a major impact on what return you get for the fruit. And you've got super impressive grader machines that you use to help with all of the sorting when it comes time to pack the fruit. But how important is it to get early size data? And when I say early, I mean pretty much as soon as those trucks arrive at receiving. What are the decisions that you have to be making at that early stage?
Well, with the Hectre program, we're able to decide right off the bat. I mean, where are we going to allocate this fruit? Are we going to run it in a few days? Are we going to try to save it, try to hit the long-term market? Size just plays a factor all over the place, especially for production. Like I mentioned earlier, it helps knowing the size helps manage flow of the production line. It keeps the line running, less stop and goes. If you can imagine, you have a small piece of fruit and a large piece of fruit. If we have a bunch of large and a bunch of small, and we run them back to back, we're going to have pile-ups in the production line and have to stop, make a lot of changes, and it's just not very cost efficient.
So when you don't have access to that early size data, what are the impacts on the business?
If you're set up for one size and then you have to make a bunch of changes to another size, you've got any time between 100, 120 people just kind of standing around waiting for operators to make a decision. Do I move fruit around? Do I save this fruit for later? What do I do? Do we pull off this lot? Do we run it right now? And so having that size data early on can make a huge difference for us.
Yeah, I was talking to a GM of a pack house the other day, and they were telling me that it's their absolute worst case scenario, having to stop that packing line. You know, you've got staff all lined up, ready to do their work, you're paying them, but they're literally just standing there doing nothing. And it's not their fault, it's just that the fruit is the wrong size. So the cost of that must be huge, and it really must hurt.
Absolutely, absolutely. It definitely does. So we generally try to hit X amount of bends per shift, and if we make a bunch of stop and go changes, those bends that we're going to run per shift are going to decrease, sometimes exponentially.
So on the sales front, do you ever have times when the sales team have actually committed to an order, but then issues arise because you don't actually have the fruit that you thought you had?
Correct. We run into that all the time. So maybe the sales team is expecting large size fruit. They've made a bunch of sales to sell all this big fruit, and then all of a sudden they've got thousands and thousands of cartons put up of just small fruit. They don't know what to do with it, and then we sit on it for a month, and then it just gets repacked, which decreases money everywhere. Obviously, repack doesn't help anybody. Having a better idea of the size profile for each lot can help us tremendously.
Your commitment at Monson to continual improvement has seen Monson Fruit become one of the first premier packers to get their hands on Spectre Top Down. So you've now got this fantastic technology. You're now able to gain all of that critical early size data. But let's step back. Take us through what you were doing before you had Spectre Top Down. What did early size sampling look like for your team?
So basically, we would rely on people out in the receiving docks to hand size all these apples, which, as you can imagine, are not going to be very accurate. They've got ring sizers, and a lot of them are just hand sizing them. They're feeling, oh, this feels like an 88, this feels like a 138, but that's not efficient, that's not accurate. Having Hectre will allow us to grab 200, 300, 400 apples a bin at 20, 30 bends sometimes on a truck. So that gives us a lot more data, a lot more apples, and a lot quicker too.
The size sample that you were achieving through that really manual process, what did that look like?
We were trying to do about 50 apples a truck, and so that could be pretty time consuming, to be honest with you. Touching every apple, having to size it, having to make decisions, and sometimes decisions are rushed, and then those decisions can be wrong. We would skip trucks sometimes. I mean, you've got 10 trucks lined up, tempers are hot, it's 8 o'clock at night, everyone wants to go home, and so you kind of just start skipping over stuff. Oh, we'll check that tomorrow, and then it never gets done, and stuff like that.
From our experience dealing with packers worldwide, the pace of receiving means that most packers face exactly the same challenges as you've outlined. The time and the cost involved just to get a small sample of fruit is major, and unfortunately, due to that small size of sampling and the subjective nature of it, it's actually really unreliable, and it's really challenging, isn't it, to be able to make informed decisions.
Absolutely. It's huge to have a program that we can receive the size information 10 times faster than we were ever able to. It helps us create better business decisions, and then, like I mentioned earlier, just increases overall FOBs and value to everybody, including the grower.
I know when we were talking the other day about when Spectre Top Down was first brought to your attention, that there was quite a degree of skepticism. And I know you've got a fantastic team there who are always looking out for new innovations that are going to help bring efficiency and, you know, really help with the return to the grower. But, you know, skepticism is quite a natural thing, particularly when it comes to new technology. Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Correct. Yeah, a lot of people were skeptical about it. We were worried it was going to be hard to implement it, but the proof is in the pudding. Basically, the results are there. They're very accurate, and they're a lot faster. It's a lot easier to get them. We've been doing our due diligence and receiving the information from you guys, and then breaking that down into a more legible, everyday type of data for our in-house staff. We've done a good job of getting the information from you guys very quickly. Your team has been all over, just help supporting us in getting this information and allowing us to build these programs or in-house programs to utilize this data, to separate the data for every lot or every grower coming in, and then just to make it more user-friendly for all of us.
Yeah, I've been super impressed with hearing all about the great work your team have been doing. Now I'd like to share a little bit of inside info with you. So our teams at Hectre are continually checking out all of the bin images that are coming across from Spectre Top Down. They're checking to make sure that people are following best practice. They're giving tips back to users so that they can get the optimal benefit from Spectre Top Down. And they're also checking out the volumes that are coming through. And I'm excited to tell you that Monson Fruit are the current record holders for the most trucks scanned by Spectre Top Down in any single day at a single site. So that's pretty epic.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. It's good to hear that we're actually utilizing it like I'm saying we are. That's very good news. So yeah, I mean, that just kind of shows how busy we can get on any given day, and how important Hectre has become to us.
Your record is 43 trucks scanned by Spectre Top Down in one day, just at one site. And my simple maths means that if we look at 43 trucks, and even if there are only 24 bins on the top layer, Spectre can scan all of those top bins, and Spectre Top Down will detect and size at least 100 apples from each bin. And when you go 43 times 24 times around 100, you come up with a sample size of 103,000 apples.
In one day, that is absolutely incredible. I mean, it would take a full team of 10 people a week to do something like that.
And when we look back and think about the size sample that you were gaining previously when you only had manual size sampling available, I think it's something like a 4,000% increase in your size sample. It's just a crazy, crazy number.
Absolutely, way more than I can comprehend.
What does having access to that level of data at such speed mean for your operation, Jared?
So I'm going to use maybe some jargon terms as an example. So let's say we have lot 100 coming in. Maybe our production operator says, hey, lot 100 is coming up in maybe 5 minutes. We can pull that up in our in-house program. We can search lot 100. Let's say the variety's a Honeycrisp. We can go lot 100, Honeycrisp. We can see exactly how many trucks were received on any given day, or we can take an average and see the peak size and peak color on that lot, which, like I mentioned earlier, helps us quite a bit, helps us prepare for the next lot and basically reduce downtime.
And hopefully it also means that you stay in the good books with your sales team.
The good books of everybody.
Sometimes implementing new technology can be quite challenging for people. You know, any change can be difficult, and technology, sometimes there's a bit of fear and the unknown and concern around how easy or hard it might be to implement technology. So we put a lot of effort at Hectre to try and make sure that implementation and the user experience is as simple as possible. How did your teams find things with implementing Spectre Top Down?
With Top Down, it was scary for some people who maybe have been here a few years, who are used to their old system. It is a little bit tricky to implement some new tools, especially technology with people in general. I would say that they've done a phenomenal job, and Hector's done a phenomenal job at making the program very user-friendly. It's mainly based on, you have your dashboard, you have what day you're on, you've got your variety, your truck. You can label the truck, whatever truck number if you want. Hector assigns you a group ID, which is very nice, and that's what we use for in-house tracking. And then basically all they have to do is select the lot number, variety, and then hit video recording, and then the program does the rest. They stop the recording after the truck has passed by, and they move on with their life. It's very easy.
You've had Spectre Top Down now for nearly 2 months, Jarrett, and you obviously saw that there were benefits there when you signed on. But now that you've actually got access to the data and you're seeing all the information come through, is it a pretty easy decision to know that the return for the business is going to be a really positive one?
Correct, absolutely. I think this was kind of a no-brainer at this point. The data that we've collected for this year has been phenomenal. And it's helped us make some decisions that might have been a little harder to make. This is a lower crop year in the industry, and so it's allowed us to hopefully yield higher FOBs in the long run. We have, like I said, better size, better color data, so that'll allow us to basically hold the fruit to exactly peak prices in the market.
Thanks so much for taking time out of what I know is a really busy day for you to share your experience. Really do appreciate it. You've been great to speak with.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, welcome back, everyone. I really hope you guys found that conversation there valuable, and just some firsthand experience on a current customer who took a chance with Top Down this season, had never used our Spectre handheld in the past, but really saw the value of the automated fixed camera recording trucks as they came through. And like, Jared mentioned, there's a lot of skepticism within the team, especially with a few members who have been there long-term, used to a certain process. But like he mentioned, they've really come around after they've seen the data, how accurate it is to their grader reports and their packouts, and the kind of the level of information they're able to get in seconds instead of, relying on a person there at the receiving end to get that information. So yeah, just hopefully you found that as valuable as we did having that conversation with Monson. Now I'd like to turn it over to some questions here. If anyone in the webinar has anything that maybe we touched on but didn't get deep enough into, anything specific that they really want to get an answer to here. I've got a question here. Does it matter if it's sunny or cloudy? No, it does not. We've had some extremely sunny days there in Yakima, as you guys have imagined and probably have seen yourself. And we have had no issue with the Spectre Top Down camera being able to record those bins as that truck's driving through. So, yep, we can handle it. We've handled it this season, and we don't see that being an issue moving forward as it hasn't been this season. Next question I got here is, are we limited on how many images we can take? Is it a price for a certain amount of images? No, you are not limited on how many images you can take. Our goal is not to cap how many scans or how many pictures you take of the bins as they come through. We really want you to capture as much data as possible. So our pricing model is not based on how many scans you take or how many pictures you take, if that makes sense. We really want you to capture as much of a sample size as you can, and that's really our goal ultimately here at Hectre and with the software Spectre here. So no, we do not charge per image, to answer your question there. Any other questions at all here? Okay, someone asked if there is a deal if they sign up soon. For next harvest, we are offering a bit of an end of year post harvest promotion here. If anyone is interested in that, please give me a call. On the next slide, we'll have some contact information and kind of share a little bit more on what that is. Next question here, how long does it take to get it up and running? Really, it depends on your team. So for us, we really ask if this is something you're interested in, is a few setup items, right? It's a fixed camera. So one, have an area in mind of where you're going to be able to put it. We need internet out there for the system. So we like to hardwire it. It gets better results, less connectivity issues. So an Ethernet cable setup as well. And then really you giving us all of your orchard information, like Jared mentioned in that Q&A. We track this fruit down to the lot of where it came. So we really have to map out all of your locations for your orchards. And we know some of the larger operations have thousands of acres. So it really depends on our customers and how fast they get us their info. From there, it probably takes our team anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to map out varieties, orchard information. So I'd say we can get you guys up and running anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. And then from there, depending on APIs or where you want us to feed that information, that can take a little bit longer if we want to build a custom API specific to a certain system you're using. For example, Computech, which you know is popular in the area, which is one we're currently working on at the moment for one of our current customers. Next question I have, does your team set up all the orchard info in the software for us? Yes, this is part of Hectre that's really important to us, is customer support and customer success. So we know most of your guys' teams are already tied up with a lot of different things within your business. And that's what I mentioned. As long as you give us the raw information as far as your orchard location, varieties, and things of that nature, our team maps out all that information in the system for you. We set up all of your users. We do go on-site training, really take a lot of the blunt and grunt work away from your team and put it on our team. And we pride ourselves on making that transition as easy as possible and making that onboarding experience really smooth and easy for our customers. Do we have any other questions here before we move on? Like I mentioned, I know sometimes we can go through these a little quick. Awesome. So like I mentioned a little bit ago here, just a bit about that promotion we're running post-harvest. If anyone's interested at all, my contact info is there, omar@hectre.com. Elizabeth is there as well, elizabeth@hectre.com. So if anyone's curious about availability, personal demo, they want to dive into their systems and the way we could possibly fit into where they're doing, we're happy to set that up. We can farther dive into implementation of the process and then pricing and what that looks like in the future. Something I do want to mention before we get off here, these fixed cameras we're using have proven to be a little bit difficult to source. So we are planning our next year's harvest already, especially with so many customers trying to jump on, and the benefit that our current customers are seeing. We fully expect them to be implementing it at different sites that they currently have, not just the one location. So that's just really wanted to drop that contact info there for you guys. So that concludes our webinar here. Really appreciate everyone taking the time, especially during harvest. We know it's not an easy time to get away. So we want to say thank you for being here. Really excited to see post-harvest results and get feedback from all our customers who decided to use Spectre Top Down this season. And like I mentioned, if any questions at all that we didn't cover or anything specific you really want to dive into, mine and Elizabeth's contact information is there. Feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here.